Greetings and welcome to another narration done by Dr. Torment. The following story may contain some sensitive topics. Consider that your one and final warning. Now, let us proceed. I lost my job last year, and things have been tight. My wife works, so we've been relying on her wage. I took over cooking and housework things, as I am home all day now. I'm looking for work, but fast food places don't seem to want people my age. Some days, it all feels quite desperate and out of control. I do quite well with budgeting for most bills, but I've had to do a lot of stretching on food now that our new and lower income barely passes the month. Lots of cheap pasta dishes and buying up veggies on special offer that need to be cooked immediately. A lot of protein is totally out of reach just from the price point of view. Cheap cuts I can sometimes manage if it's near the best before date again selling at a special offer, but those go fast in our local supermarket. Even food banks have mostly passed out canned foods. There are a lot of people in our situation, it seems. We really aren't as healthy as we used to be either. Recently, though, we've been doing better. My wife came home last week with ground meat, so I prepped a ton of dishes and froze them, and this week she got kidneys for a pie. I'm not unappreciative, but I just don't know how she's affording it all. Her job at the mortuary really doesn't pay that well. I loved attention. I craved for it. The feeling of fleeting glances or long stares on me made me ecstatic. I peeked through high school and college, made a whole lot of friends who I still kept in contact with. I held weekly brunch parties with them in my lovely 2-story house. 3 years later, and everyone is getting married or having kids. The weekly brunch parties still occur with the occasional drama. Take last week, for example. Jenny came and said that her child had gone missing. He was an easy target, a small handful of candies, and he would follow anyone, anywhere. I advised her to lodge a police report and let them handle it. Spoiler alert, he was never found. As I am tucked in bed, I whisper a small "good night" to the jars lined up on my shelf. They look so adorable just floating there, all round and well preserved. I feel so safe when they watch me as I sleep. 6 jars containing 6 pair of eyes, belonging to the bodies that were rotting in my basement. I love attention, crave for it, bask in it. So, eyes on me. I asked him to dance, but he said no. He's dancing now, though. When I first clapped eyes on him, I knew he would be mine or no one else's. He is the handsomest of the boys in the village. All of us girls have gone wild for his dark eyes, all vying for a look, a smile, a dance. At the dance, I watched from the other side of the room, my stomach alive with nerves, my feet guided me without intention, drawing me unerringly into his orbit. I didn't mean to ask, but it just came out. Would you like the dance? The pity in his eyes was mortifying. This dance is taken. Then I saw her, my best friend now turned rival, take up his hand. Their shared smile told a story I could not fathom. I asked him to dance, but he said no. He's dancing now though, legs moving in rhythm. I followed them from the hall, their hushed voices washing over me, hands intertwined as they slipped into the woods. I saw what he did there. Soft affirmations, gentle caresses becoming more urgent. I saw how he gave himself away to her, leading her into a new dance I had never seen before. So, I told everyone what he had done to her. Violated her, they said. They wouldn't listen to her words or her tears. I was witness enough. And so, he's dancing for me now. The noose has him dancing me a pretty jig. When I first clapped eyes on him, I knew he would be mine, or no one else's. The world sees me as a great escape artist. Who knows? One day they might say I'm as great as Houdini, or maybe even better. I have performed a series of deadly and death-defying stunts, and came out quite unscathed. Some say it is magic that I perform. Others say there's no such thing as magic, and I'm simply an illusionist. Smoke and mirrors, they say. I do find it funny, though. How do smoke and mirrors explain me being stuffed in a box and stabbed through 50 times with steel swords, like a pincushion, only to have me appear on the other side of the stage without a single scratch on my person? How was it possible for me to be locked in an iron cage with over 10 different locks and dropped into the ocean, then materializing among the audience without even a drop of water on my body? Or being put in a magic box and sawed into pieces and still appearing alive and well, and most importantly, whole after the show? It wasn't an illusion. People only term such things they cannot explain as magic or fake. Do you believe it was magic? Are you another one of those doubters? Would you like me to explain how I do it? Sorry, but a magician never reveals his secrets. Lucky for you, I'm neither a magician nor an illusionist. I am a scientist, and all scientists want to share their work with the world. The only reason I appear unscathed at the end of each performance is simply that I didn't. I don't escape each show intact. In fact, I actually die in each performance. I am a scientist and inventor, and I created a teleportation device. It works, but there is a problem with it. Instead of transporting the subject to a new location, it creates a copy, and sends it to its desired location. I needed funds to complete my invention, so, with my device, I joined a traveling carnival as an escape artist. In each stunt, I die, but a copy of me is created, along with all my memories and traits, a complete, identical copy of me, and sent to a new location, making it look like I escaped death. It is a really good plan, and I'm actually making a ton of money. In a few more shows, I will have made enough to finish my research and perfect my device. But now a second problem has presented itself. There's only so much I can get rid of, and I am starting to run out of hiding places to stash all of my original bodies. It started off a harmless vice, a feeling I enjoyed when I heard of the misfortune of others. Later, I learned that it is a common, widespread emotion. Well, widespread enough that the Germans came up with a name for it. I lead a blameless life otherwise. I do not drink in excess. I do not smoke or partake of any other drugs other than coffee, which I drink 2 cups of every morning so I may fulfill my work duties efficiently. I am absolutely not abusive to my long-term partner. I pay taxes, and I enjoy, at least I thought, all the usual pleasures expected for someone in my station in life. But soon enough I realized this feeling, my vice, it gave me a deep, visceral thrill unlike anything else. Watching the new episode of our favorite Netflix show just paled in comparison. I could feel it, a wave of deep joy rising through my veins as someone started going on about their divorce, death of their granny, a cancer diagnosis, or something as trivial as their son dropping out of school. The more the upset, the deeper the joy. Moistness blossoms between my legs unlike anything I have ever felt in my wildest adventures, which are pretty tame, I know. I lean forward, barely able to compose my features in the suitable arrangement of concern warranted for these exchanges. Yes, tell me more. Fortunately, there is hardly a shortness of misery and misfortune, and I'm able to get my fix fairly regularly. Indeed, I have a reputation for being a good listener, for kindness and compassion. Colleagues, neighbors, friends, and relatives know I am always there for them, ready, even eager, to listen to their trials. One colleague locked in a year-long feud with a construction company who destroyed their house gave me a regular update. Another spared me no detail of their ghastly divorce dragging through family court. And aside, do judges actually behave like that? My God, I have no idea until Lindsay opened up to me about it. I lapped up every instant of mistreatment of Alex's father at the nursing home, and when the young son of a neighbor fell to his untimely death from their balcony, my body and mind were transported to a state of indescribable ecstasy. Now, that last event, now that left me wanting more. Ah yes, the downfall of every addictive vice. More, more, more. It is no longer enough to be a passive recipient of other people's suffering. It is not enough to hear about disasters through the news. That just leaves me cold and dry. I thirst for the immediate spectacle of human distress. The quivering voice, the agonized face. And so, I've begun facilitating misery, using my local knowledge to create yet more suffering. Darlene's husband cheating? Easy. Paul lost his job? Child's play. But I still crave more. Tonight, I am planning a little hit and run for a neighbor's daughter, quite a stellar student too, as she returns from basketball practice. That should fix me for another 10 days at least.
Would you trade your life for another?
I had just swerved off the road to avoid hitting this stranger, and this was the last thing I expected him to say after I got out to check on him. Are you damn mental? What are you doing out here? I steamed. You could have died. All I received back was him giving off a dry laugh.
Because I knew you'd miss.
I looked over to the side of the road where my car was resting halfway in a ditch, the front end, completely totaled. I just missed him after he appeared out of nowhere, and I'd lost control. Furiously, I turned back to him. Do you see what you've done? I pointed to my vehicle, but all he did was wave me off.
We were meant to meet.
Marvelous. A genuine lunatic, I decided. I started heading towards the ditch, but he called out to me.
No, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Bad idea to waste this chance, you know.
Just by hearing him, I was practically snarling and whirling around. What do you want?
You didn't answer my question.
What question?
Would you trade your life for another?
I stared at him at a loss for words. I mean, what kind of a question is that even?
Well, would you? Because you are talking to someone who could make it happen. A once-in-this-lifetime opportunity.
It took a good minute before I had the words to muster, but I finally said, You're crazy. I'm going back to my car. You stay away from me, understand?
Who said you ever left?
I immediately froze in place, and the stranger gave me a sly smile.
Go ahead. Have a look for yourself.
I moved forward slowly, inching towards the driver door. Through the window, I could see myself slumped over, blood dripping from a wound on my forehead. I just breathed. Holy shit. And I was backing into the stranger, never hearing him approach. Am I dead?
Tough break, eh? Deal still on the table, though.
I looked into his cold eyes and asked him, Who are you?
Oh, just someone who can help you with that.
I looked back at my body, despair gripping me. My wife, my children, what would they do without me? I looked him in his dead eyes again. What happens if I take this deal? The stranger's dark eyes seemingly flashed as he replied.
You take my place. You'd stand here until someone else comes along and you convince them to trade.
And what happens to you then?
I go back to my old life like nothing ever happened. Just like the guy before me. See, it doesn't really matter who lives or dies, as long as the balance remains.
He explained while extending his palm.
So, what do you say? Do we have a deal?
And so I reached forward, hesitating just before we made contact, but another glance at my body persuaded me enough, and right then and there, I shook his hand.
Good luck, friend.
He said those words while his face splitted into a grin. And then he was gone, and I was alone. I've had a lot of time to think about what I agreed to ever since, and exactly who or what I made this deal with. Because since then, I haven't seen a single car on this dark road.
Or a single star in the sky.
It all started a week ago, when the CDC made notice of a new disease. A disease that was, unlike any other, affecting cognitive function to a great extent, causing severe hunger, and making individuals lose control of their motor skills. I contracted the disease when I myself went out the house against CDC warnings just to take a walk when I felt cooped up a little bit too much due to the quarantine measures and came into contact with a drooling man. His shirt was drenched in his own saliva and he was as pale as a ghost. He was an elderly man, probably in his late 50s or early 60s. To make a long story short, he attacked by biting me. I ran to my home where I called the police, but I got no response but a busy signal, after which I sat on the couch and tried to turn on the TV to only realize there was no power at all in my home. And to think about it, it was oddly dark in my house as well when I woke up. Therefore, I went upstairs to use the bathroom and clean myself off from my, previous encounter. I then started to get violently ill over the course of 1 hour and a half, and my body felt like it was shutting down. I began to throw up violently. I couldn't stop myself, and I was so extremely thirsty. I must have drank at least 2 gallons of water in that hour and a half. And then, after that, I became, ravenous. I ate everything I could get my hands on, only to vomit it back up later. I was so hungry that I was in pain. Horrible pain. My stomach felt like it had a literal hole in it. Then I started drooling, and I lost control of my body. At that point, the first seizure I had felt like a relief. And as I was seizing, I managed to fall down, hitting a table with a vase placed on top of it, which crashed to the ground. And as I lay there, I felt nothing but extreme terror, but still the hunger. The noise was loud enough to wake up my 8-year-old daughter as she came rushing downstairs, and screamed as I convulsed on the floor. Of course, she was panicking, and I could tell she didn't know what to do. I then began to stop my seizure, and now with my shirt covered in drool, I had no control of my body as I rose up looking directly at my daughter, and all I felt was the ravenous hunger as I saw my arms lunge forward at her. I was completely conscious of what I was doing, but not under any control of my body. It was an excruciating 5 hours as I ate until there was nothing left of my own child. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. The only thing I could do was regurgitate the flesh of my daughter to make room for more in my stomach. I pray for death. And with that, our session has concluded. With this, I would also like to take a moment to thank all of you sweet wicked people for joining me in this narration. Do you desire more? Then tickle the bell icon and like this video, and of course do leave a comment behind with your thoughts. Lastly, for those willing, consider joining us on our Patreon page and help support the channel yourself personally with all the added benefits therein. This was Dr. Torment bidding you adieu, and remember, don't fall asleep ever.